Lila had always been a cautious person. She never stayed out too late, never talked to strangers, and always locked her doors and windows before going to sleep. But all of those precautions were useless when she was kidnapped. It happened on a dark and stormy night. Lila was walking home from her job at a diner when a man in a mask grabbed her from behind and forced her into a van. She tried to fight back, but he was too strong. He tied her up and blindfolded her, then drove off to an unknown location. Lila was terrified. She didn't know what her kidnapper wanted or what he was going to do to her. The van bounced and swerved as they drove, and Lila tried to keep track of the turns and twists so she could escape later, but it was no use. She had no idea where she was. Finally, they arrived at their destination. Lila was dragged out of the van and into a dark, damp room. She could hear the sound of running water and the scurrying of rats. Her kidnapper removed her blindfold, and she saw that she was in a basement, with a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. The man spoke to her, but his voice was distorted by a voice changer. "You're going to stay here for a while," he said. "We're going to have some fun together." Lila shuddered. She knew exactly what he meant by fun. She had seen enough horror movies to know where this was going. She was going to be tortured and then killed. Days turned into weeks as Lila was subjected to unspeakable horrors. She was starved, beaten, and burned. Her kidnapper used a variety of weapons on her, from knives to chainsaws to acid. He enjoyed watching her suffer, taking pleasure in her pain. But Lila refused to give up. She was determined to survive no matter what. She used every ounce of strength and willpower she had to fight back, even as her body was broken and battered. She plotted her escape, memorizing every detail of her surroundings and looking for weaknesses in her captor's defenses. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Lila saw her chance. Her kidnapper was distracted, and she managed to free herself from her restraints. She attacked him with a piece of broken glass, stabbing him repeatedly until he lay still. Lila stumbled out of the basement, weak and disoriented. She didn't know where she was, but she didn't care. She was free. She stumbled down the street until she found a police officer who called for an ambulance. Lila survived, but she was never the same again. She suffered from nightmares and flashbacks, and could never forget the horrors she had endured. Her kidnapper was never caught, and she lived in constant fear that he would come back for her. But she knew that she had survived the ultimate horror, and that she was stronger than anyone had ever known.